Well, in January of 2013, the WorkForce Index rose to 51.6, which is above the growth neutral level of 50. So it represented a nice increase over where we were in December. Well, the increase came from several factors. One was an increased number of employers were posting jobs on CareerLink. In fact, it was the highest level in the last 6 months. Also, the unemployment rate for Nebraska, while it was up slightly in December from November levels, it was the second lowest for the whole year, and so it remains at quite a low level. So the combination of increased employers posting increased jobs and low unemployment drove that index above the 50.5 level. The greatest numerical change came in the area of business and administration. In addition, marketing, sales, and service increased substantially, as did health services. Law and public safety had the highest percentage increase from December to January. Well, like I mentioned a moment ago, the total number of employers posting was the highest it's been in the last 6 months. And their rate of posting was high also. So that combination of more employers posting more jobs is what led to the situation we have now. And in all 16 of the job classifications or industry classifications, AIM tracks, increased the number of postings from December to January. Well, it's hard to say. It's hard to project as we look forward to the general economic climate. The stock market has had the best January it's had in a couple of decades, and there's a certain degree of optimism that you feel generally in the economy. It's not overwhelming, but there's appears to be a modest optimism about the economy. And so I think there's some chance that we might continue to see the WorkForce Index be above 50, although it's hard to predict. Well, both the of Creighton's regional index, the Nebraska Index of Business Expectation, and the Midwest Index of Business Expectation also both rose to above the 50-point growth neutral level. So you've got all three indices now in a growth mode, and so that they're consistent and perhaps bode well for the economy. So both of these indices seem to be kind of a choppy sideways movement. There doesn't seem to be any definitive direction one way or the other. I think there's some optimism that we might see a growth period here, but as you look at the national estimates, growth is not projected to be much faster in 2013 than it was in 2012, and as you know, it was pretty modest in 2012. Well, as you looked at the end of, really the last 6 months of 2012, there was a lot of political and economic uncertainty around the election and around what Congress and the administration would do relative to this fiscal cliff. In the very wee hours of 2013, part of the fiscal cliff issue was solved, primarily the tax issues, and the tax rates some of them were made permanent, and so the taxing side of the fiscal cliff, whether you like it or not, whether you like their solutions or didn't like their solutions, there's now a degree of certainty in terms of tax law that all businesses and individuals are going to be operating in the months ahead. On the other hand, there were other issues related to the government expenditures, the deficit, that still are points of uncertainty. But I think from the average Main Street business individual, kind of solving that tax issues of the fiscal cliff gives them a planning horizon now that they didn't have in the last half of 2012. And I think that may account for some of the growth that we're now seeing, although I think it's a modest optimism rather than an unbridled excitement for the future.